story of my aortic dissection, which happened in December 2025 last year. So Tuesday, 2nd of December was a busy day for me. I had been working part-time before, but that job finished, and then I actually had a job interview on the Tuesday the 2nd, the day of my dissection, for a part-time job working in a coffee shop, and I was offered the job. So other things, you know, errands and kind of a fairly full day. And then that evening, William and I went to the home of some friends in Lebanon near where we live, where our church home group was meeting. We had dinner, and then we moved to sit in their living room so we could talk together and pray for each other. And I was actually talking when suddenly I stopped and I put my hand on my chest and said, I had a very sharp pain in my chest. I don't actually remember that pain. I don't even remember saying that. But I do remember feeling really nauseated and really dizzy. So I said, I feel terrible. I need to lie down. And I just got off my chair and lay on the floor. And it must have been about 7:30 in the evening. So one of the friends that was with us, Christy, I talked to her because she's in the group, and I asked her about like what happened that evening. William was there too, but I don't remember anything, and he's got some gaps in his memory for things too. So anyway, Christy told me, because I was out of it, she said within 30 seconds I became unresponsive, and I was breathing, my heart was beating, but it was like I wasn't there. So she called 911, and the ambulance came in about 7 minutes, I think she said, didn't she? And took me to Lebanon Hospital. So our friends live, who we were with, they live only about 5 minutes from the hospital, whereas we live, our home is like 13 miles away. So we're just grateful how God orchestrated that we were actually really close to the hospital when I dissected, not out in the country where we live. So I was taken to ER, and William and some friends followed the ambulance. They suspected I'd had a stroke because I had weakness and pain in my left leg. I vaguely remember that, but I don't remember the pain or any clear recollection. And I had a facial droop. So I've read on my MyChart notes, and that's kind of filled in some of the medical details. So found out some things like that. I was sent for a CT scan, right? But it just amazed how quickly they got the information, because it was pretty quick. I went for a CT scan. They diagnosed a type A aortic dissection, the length of my aorta, and one of the carotid arteries, I think it was the right one, right? Yeah, was blocked off, and the other one was restricted. So the doctors thought I was having an ischemic stroke. The left iliac artery down into my left leg, that was blocked off. So that was what was causing the pain in my leg. And then there was something about the left renal artery that was affected as well. So you were stuck in the front, right? Had to wait in the front section of ER, I think. And then you were allowed to go back, right? Go back with it was Christy that came back with you. So Christy said they stabilized me and I was speaking, but I was only half awake. I said I had a lot of pain. She said I had a lot of pain in my left leg, which has really gone from my memory. And they gave me fentanyl a number of times. Each time the pain reduced after I gave it, and then it came back and they would give me more fentanyl. I've only got a really vague recollection of that. But we're so grateful that for how competent the doctors were, and that we saw in ER, and how quick they were to diagnose me, because we just understand that aortic dissection can be hard to diagnose, and I know not everyone gets diagnosed quickly, and it's really important. And I know a number of doctors were involved in that decision, because I think the doctor consulted with others, so including a neurologist. So they immediately began looking for a hospital in the area where I could have surgery, and they called Life Flight Transport to order that so that I could be taken there. But it was foggy, so it would need to be by road. And then it was about 9 o'clock that night, so really fairly soon, although I think it felt like a long time. Dr. Coe, a cardiothoracic surgeon at Peace Health Hospital in Eugene, which is about an hour from us here, accepted my case. So did you want to share about ER?
Yeah. Well, yes, when the ambulance came and took Vicki away, she was committed to the system, and I committed her to the system. I followed her to the hospital. Eventually, they let me in, and by then she had been stabilized and cleaned up. So I was able to just stay with her. The doctor told me that it was a life-threatening condition, but I couldn't really grasp the gravity of it. But I think it would have been a quiet night in ER because the staff was with us for most of that evening. The medical transport was an hour and a half away, so it seemed to be an eternal wait for that truck to show up. But Vicki was thanking the staff profusely, and we've met the staff since then, and they said they really invested in her because people are often angry or upset or not present. And so Vicki just kept thanking them for everything they were doing. So when the transport finally came, they went about the procedure of transferring her into their custody. And one of the paramedics asked that if her heart stopped on the trip, did I want them to resuscitate her? I said, well, yes, I do.
Yeah, I don't have any memory of the time in ER. Like he said, I was thanking the nurses, but I honestly don't remember that at all. And either I didn't register or else it would, kind of was erased. I actually thought I'd been transferred to Corvallis, not Eugene, because a couple of days later they asked me when I was in Eugene after the surgery where I was, and where I thought I was, and I said Corvallis. That was why I assumed I'd been transferred, but so I didn't know what was going on. But I'm really grateful to God for that mercy of not remembering the pain, because Christy mentioned that I was writhing in ER, so obviously the pain in my left leg was severe, but I didn't it's just been blanked out. So I know some people suffer of PTSD, and I so far haven't experienced that really. I'm really grateful to God for that. So I arrived, I was transferred about 10:30 that night, and I arrived about 11:30 in Eugene, and went into surgery about midnight. And they said I was awake and responsive, right?
Responsive.
Don't remember that either. I couldn't move my left leg, and I had weakness in my left arm, but I don't really remember any of that. So surgery was about 7 hours. The damaged part of the ascending aorta, they removed and replaced it with a synthetic prosthetic sleeve. And then the aortic valve had dropped down, so they resuspended it, but it didn't have to be replaced. I know some people have to have it replaced. Dr. Coe said he was pleasantly surprised that the problem with my left leg naturally resolved when the ascending aorta was fixed. So it kind of sealed itself off and stopped. The aorta sealed itself off, and the flap stopped blocking the iliac artery. So my leg pulse in my leg came back, so I didn't need surgery on my left leg. So that was another mercy. And then by then you were in Eugene, right? Do you want to talk about when you were?
Well, yes. When the truck left, people offered to drive me down to the hospital. I could have followed the truck. I had my car there, but I thought, I'm tired. I don't have anything but a car and a wallet, and I'm going to be useless if I just chase the ambulance down there. So I went home, got a few hours of sleep, packed a few more or less relevant items, and made my way down to the hospital. It was about an hour away. And about 3:30 a.m. I got there, went to the ICU, cardiac ICU waiting lounge, found out that she was still in surgery. Then about 7, the surgeon came up and told me that the operation had been a success and that she was being admitted into the ICU and settled in there. So I was able to go in about 8 o'clock in the morning, and she had about 7 different feeds and drains and a respirator and monitors, but she was alive.
So I started to be aware, coming around after surgery. I don't really know when that was. I think maybe Wednesday night, because that was midnight, Tuesday, Wednesday, beginning of Wednesday that I had surgery. I could hear really clearly, but I couldn't see properly, and I couldn't speak because I had the ventilator. I could hear people chatting, and that was distracting me from my thoughts. And I was trying to work out what was going on in my head, but it was really a big effort. My brain wasn't working right. So I was trying to get things straight. I wish people would be quiet so I could think straight. What's that I was thinking? Like, just be quiet so I could. So I didn't know what was going on around me, or I didn't know what had happened, but I just had a sense of peace, just that God was holding on to me, and gratitude that, I was alive. So I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know what had happened, but I was alive. And so, yeah, that was a blessing. But I read in my notes, and I have a vague recollection of this actually sometimes, that I was quite agitated in ICU. That I tried to push myself up, which is a big no-no because of the damage you can do to your recently repaired chest. So, and it made my blood pressure drop. So they were trying to stop me from doing that. I had some delirium, I think. I really, really wanted to speak. So, but I couldn't do so because of the ventilator. So I wanted a whiteboard. I thought if I had a whiteboard, I could write messages to you because I didn't know you were there. When he was there, I thought he wasn't there, but in fact he was there, because I couldn't really see. And I had things to say that were really urgent, although I'm not really sure what they were. But so the nurses gave me a clipboard and a pen and paper, and I tried to write, but I couldn't see. So I really was desperate to know the time. It's funny, I was like obsessed to know the time, but I couldn't ask the time because I couldn't speak, and the clock was really blurry, so I couldn't read it. So I thought if I can know what the time is, I would know what has happened. For some reason, I thought that was that's my mixed up thinking. So I was pretty wired in ICU, and once I was awake, I was pretty bossy, right?
Yes, yes. There was 3 things. You wanted a drink, so we'd give you a drink with a straw. Then you would feel there'd be a drop on your lips, and it just bothered you to feel it, so that had to be dabbed off. And then you needed lip gloss. So my sister was there by then, so she had that shit that went through that cycle many times.
Yeah, rinse and repeat. Yeah, Kathy came, William's sister from Phoenix, and she's really a big blessing to us. And so once she was there, William could go and get some sleep, right? Yeah. And so Kathy gave me a nickname because they gave me this, oximeter to measure the oxygen, but I don't think they could get a reading on my finger because I've got Raynaud's, so circulation is my fingers can get pretty cold. So they put it on my nostril. So Kathy nicknamed me Rudolph. So I brought Rudolph because she gave me Rudolph. You can see the nodding Rudolph. So Rudolph stayed with me all through, recovery, and Rudolph stays with me now. He's very positive. He agrees with everything. Yeah, so then our younger daughter, Susie, she joined us from the East Coast to help care for me. And I remember thinking, wow, Susie's coming, and Kathy came all that way to see me. I began to realize it was a big deal. So what had happened was a big deal. So Susie, she just finished finals at law school, and she immediately gave Kathy and William a break and sat with me. So at least one of them was with me all the time. And my family are in the UK, and I'm from the UK, so it was really good to be able to be in touch with them. I know that they, William and were in touch with them before, but I was able to actually video call my siblings and my mum. She's a retired doctor in her 90s, but I was able to actually talk on video call with her. So that was really wonderful. So I'm sure it's pretty hard being so far away. And our other daughter, Becky, she wanted to fly up to be with us, but she'd only just had their first baby a couple of months before. So William told her, wait until I was discharged, and then I was at home. I heard afterwards that many friends were praying for me, beginning with those who were actually there in the room when I dissected, when I collapsed, and then extending to friends and family all over the world. A dear pastor friend phoned William in ER and prayed for us on speakerphone, and then shared with many friends overseas. So we had people all over the world praying for us. So as well as my family who are pretty well with me pretty well all the time, friends visited, which was really touching. I can't remember the earlier visits, actually. Some people said, oh yeah, we came a couple of days ago, but I don't remember that. Even though I might have been responsive sometimes, I answered and they said something, but I don't remember it afterwards. And I began to hear the word miracle spoken around me by the nurses and the doctors and other medical staff. And one or two wrote it on my heart cushion, which I had people sign. We're just realizing what God had done for us. Here's my heart cushion. Everybody's who's had one will be familiar. We had Dr. Cole sign the aorta since he repaired it. That was really brilliant, actually. If I think they generally offer them, but if they don't, it's really worth asking, because the main blessing of it was when you need to stand up, then you can prevent yourself pushing yourself up with your hands, because your hands are taken up with holding the cushion, and then coughing, being able to cough holding onto it too. So probably a lot of survivors are familiar with that. So I did have quite a bit of pain, but and just pain in my chest and backache. But the nurses were really good at keeping me medicated and ahead of the pain. They would keep coming in and asking. They're really amazing, actually, just really skillful, really compassionate. So we're really grateful for that. And I had a really kind neurologist called Dr. Iman, and she came and tested me because of the thing with my left leg and my facial droop, and she tested my responses. The first time I didn't do very well. I couldn't hardly see the picture she was showing me, but she came again a couple of days later and it was clearer. And then the third time she came, I could actually discern what the picture was showing, and I did a lot better. She showed us the MRI results, which was really helpful. She brought them up on the screen, and actually I think it was Kathy and Susie who were there. And she kind of scrolled down through the brain picture, showing the brain, and showed showed them, she said there's lots of mini strokes and she pointed them out, but she felt like they would, she said that she thought they would resolve naturally, which was very, very encouraging. And I didn't have any more left weakness, left arm weakness really, or my squeeze and things on the left arm was okay, and my face was okay. My left leg carried on being a bit achy, and that, through recovery, that was an issue, but it was tested later on, and they wanted to they gave me an echo and another kind of test, I can't remember the name, and found that the perfusion to the left, blood supply to the left leg was good, and the pulse was good and healthy, so they were happy about that. It just was a sort of residual weakness, which has improved and really essentially gone now. So on the third day after surgery, they wanted me to get up and sit in a recliner. I was pretty wobbly, and it took 3 nurses, one being fully occupied trying to untangle all the wires. So many wires. That's like, but then, yeah, William will tell about that, because that was kind of a bit of a blip then, I think, right?
Yes, well, on the third day, they just wanted her to stand up. But when she did, the ICU nurse saw an anomaly on the screen, a heart monitor. And so she alerted the staff, and that triggered a rapid response team, because there were indications of cardiac distress. And so they had an electrocardiogram and a sonogram, and they did some blood tests and such. So there was a lot going on, and it got very intense there. And I found that was probably the most difficult time of the whole experience, because having survived the major surgery and being on the mend, to have a setback at that point. So I had to just sit in a chair in the corner. But then Dr. Coe arrived. He listened to all the details. He looked at the results from the scans, and he said, the repair is holding and she is not having a heart attack. So everybody stand down. And then everybody went back to work. And that that was very reassuring to me, that the system was working, and that her surgeon had the knowledge and the confidence to see things as they were. And he was right.
Yeah. So I was 6 days in ICU, and then I was transferred to a cardiac ward, and gradually the wires were removed, and one of the drains was taken out, but I still had the 3 remaining drains. Just amazing how much liquid they drain. So the final 3 stayed until right when I was just before I was discharged. I did have quite a lot of nausea, probably from the pain meds, so it's hard to find anything that I could eat, and especially that actually got harder when I went down to move to the cardiac ward, because then they wanted me to have my medications by mouth, and that was hard to get them down. One of the nurses actually helped me do that by kind of showing me a new way to do that with yogurt instead of water, and it was easier to stomach. Then William's sister flew back to Arizona, and William and Susie stayed with me, and then I was discharged after 11 days in hospital. So going home was a big adjustment, actually. I don't know, maybe lots of people feel that, being away from the hospital. I missed having nurses there to answer questions, to having them right there. So I phoned the hospital cardiac clinic helpline quite a few times with questions about my BP or my feet swelling, or because I said, that they were giving me diuretic or whatever to try to continue getting rid of the excess, to do the drainage, and then pain. I think the biggest question is this pain part of normal recovery, or is something going wrong? Because it's just recovery, after the surgery, especially back. You get backache and twinges here and there, and then you think, how bad is this? Is this something, a repair failing or something? But William and Susie were really really wonderful, caring for me. Susie managed to stay longer. She got she changed to working remotely until late January, so she didn't have to go back to law school as quickly. They took turns sleeping on the couch next to me, so I didn't have to be alone in the living room. So we were lent a recliner, and that was really great, because I'm a side sleeper, and just sleeping flat on your back, or even up a little bit, so better for your breathing and things, was still really hard. But in a recliner, you can, because you can bend your legs, it's much easier to tolerate that. And I was very tired, slept a lot in the evenings, and then I slept at night till about 3, and then it was just too uncomfortable normally to get much more sleep. But the first month I needed pain meds, but then I think I was able to manage on Tylenol after that. So my BP meds needed adjusting a few times, mostly increasing the dosages. My family doctor helped with this, and it's ongoing really. So my BP needed to be was going up, not manageable. So I ended up going to ER in January because it just got too high. So they gave me hydralazine, and then they gave it to me as an emergency med if my BP ever got over 160. So they really wanted it to stay, below 130 over 80 or something like that. So I'm on quite a lot of BP meds now. It does make me weary, but I haven't very rarely do I feel actually dizzy. So they might still need more adjustment, but last week I fell and not feeling dizzy, actually I just tripped and broke a bone in my ankle, so I'm on crutches now, so it's probably not time to be changing my BP meds right now. So I did walk around the cardiac ward and used a walker, and gradually increasing the distance I was walking, and that was good.
You have the distances marked out on the wall.
Yeah, it was very encouraging to feel like making progress. And I did cardiac rehab, which was good, 2 sessions a week for about 15 weeks. Then I joined a gym, and I was taking a bones and balance class till I twisted my ankle. And so be glad to get back to that when I can. I used to run before I dissected, and I'm keen to get back to running, but I haven't yet. It tends to make my heart rate can be a lot higher at rest now. It used to be really lower, and it can tend to make it go too high. So I'm a bit wary of running until that's better managed. But I have, I've been, until I hurt my ankle, I've been walking really regularly. So so the other thing I was thinking is just active, for recovery. I think it really does take time. The activities I used to do, I was only working part-time, but I was busy doing different things, and I was fine to go from one thing to another, but not too much, but fair, I'm 64 years old, so not as busy as I used to be, but I found that I really can't cram in a lot of things now. I really need to pace myself a lot more. I can't do one thing after another. And I find often it's a mental fatigue. I get physically tired, but it's 8 months since my dissection now. And I just get sort of mentally overwhelmed, mentally tired. And I find I can't remember things. I forget things a lot more. I wasn't ever brilliant at remembering things, but it's a lot harder now. So I found reading really tiring to start with. I can read okay now, but it's still a bit tiring. So I used audiobooks quite a lot, and I can get overtired very abruptly. I can be fine, and then suddenly I feel exhausted. So I have to really pace and build in rest, and not fill time too much. And take naps is also really helpful. So I began working part-time again in June, which is about 6 months after my dissection, just 3 hours, 2 mornings a week. My boss has been really understanding and willing for me to do that. And that really encouraged me to be able to do that. But it's enough actually, 3.5 hours twice. Of course, now I'm not weight bearing on my ankle yet, so I will have to. I'm off work at the moment, but hope to get back soon. So I do have wonderful carers, so I'm so grateful for them. William and Kathy and Susie and have been such a blessing. And Kathy actually came to stay with me when William had to go overseas for his work, and so that I wasn't on my own. So friends visited and brought meals early on, and they prayed, and everybody has just been so supportive. So I just wanted to like summarize. I think it's like you hear the words, the phrase new normal, and maybe that's a bit cliched, but that's what I feel like this is for me. Sometimes people ask me if I'm fully recovered or what percentage I am, or and I try to change the question because I can't really answer that question. One of the cardiac rehab staff said a year to me, to have a good, a good deal of recovery. Think about a year, not months, and that was very helpful to me. But I don't think it will be a year to be back to how I was before. I think I think things will never be the same in a way. As well as a repair on my ascending aorta, I've got a type B dissection because that's still there, the length of the aorta. So that requires lifelong monitoring, and it has sealed itself up at the bottom. And now that it's mended at the top. But so I monitor my blood pressure daily. I now have a cardiologist I need to see regularly. I did have some AFib when I was in ICU, but not very much. Have neurological checkups as well. But I apparently don't need the procedure to open my right carotid, which is a bit restricted, but he said I don't need it because there's enough blood passing and the left side is good. So it's really watch and wait for that, which lots of people are probably familiar with, the watch and wait. So so it is a new normal, but it's not I don't feel sorry this happened to me or experienced this. In a way, I feel blessed, really blessed by God and blessed through people. Yeah, I don't wish it had never happened. I think it's from just experiencing so much love and care from God and from people, from my family, from my friends, from the medical staff who just went above and beyond, from being totally helpless, and then seeing God's power at work, and how he intervened to prevent any number of fatal possibilities, all sorts of things. So like the surgeon said at one point, you shouldn't be here. So yeah, I've just experienced so much love and care. So, and I felt that comfort, I think, when I was in ICU, when I first became aware, I just felt I felt the comfort of God. I didn't really understand what was going on, but I felt like, okay, it's going to be okay. So I think having an aortic dissection has made me love life more, love God more, and love people more. I do get anxious at times. It is a journey, but I had a little bit of advice of just to encourage anyone out there who's just been through one or is going to have an open heart or a dissection. Just to some tips that might, I hope, be helpful. So have a support group, ask for help and accept help. We're not always good at accepting help, but do accept help, because help is out there. Connect with Aortic Hope or another group, another support group like that. You can get on the support meetings. You can talk to others who've experienced the same things, and that's so encouraging. It's been really encouraging for me to hear the other stories of survivors. I've listened to quite a few on YouTube and found that really encouraging. And tell your family and your friends that you love them. Thank people. It's it can open our eyes to a different view of life, I think. So going home, I was just going to say, it's really a big transition going home. Don't be afraid to ask for advice when you're home, because you don't have it on hand from your medical team after you get home. And recovery, I think a lot of people think it's it's however many months, but it does take time, longer than we think. But it does happen, and you might feel like you're not making much progress, but when you look back, you see how far you've come. And so it helps to look back and mark those little achievements, mark progress as you make it. And everyone's different. Every recovery is different. So so might recover, you feel like they're recovering faster, but that's okay, they're different. So we have to give ourselves and give others grace. It is easy to get down, especially if you have a lot of pain, or in the middle of the night you're in pain, and you're just hurting. But just remember, you're not alone. Ask for help, whatever you need, including the chance to talk about it. That can be very helpful. I had a favorite song I used to listen to every day in ICU, and I listened to it so much since then, just about God's care for me. And don't go back to work too quickly. I know some people go back to work quickly and find that is hard. It is a new normal. So I found it's quite challenging enough to go back 3 hours, 2 mornings a week. So it's good, but I couldn't have done that after 3 months, which is what I thought I was going to try to do. So recovery does take a lot of rest and sleep. Try and get a recliner. The recliner's been such a blessing. And see life as a gift from God. So just wishing all the best to everybody who's had a dissection or is a carer for someone, has a loved one who's had a dissection or an aneurysm, or just wishing you all the best, and thank you for listening.